Welcome to the Gals Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello, Galactic Glamazons! It's a new month and a new theme at Gals Guide. We've got our map and our compass, and we are setting out to learn about gals who have explored the depths of the oceans, the treacherous mountains, the inner and outer space. So let me introduce you to the researchers for this team, because I can spell on a script, and see what they have packed for our discovery mission. So first up, her backpack is loaded up with art supplies to paint the amazing explorer gals that we find. That's right, it's Bonnie Fillenworth. Yay! Bonnie, tell the good people about yourself and what you've been up to since the last episode.
Since last episode, I've been doing art fairs.
Yay!
Art fairs are opening back
It's a
up.
thing!
They're outside,
Yes.
still masked, but we're good.
And it's art.
And yeah, getting back to getting more art to sell.
You want to
at
hear
the art fairs?
a fun story?
Yes.
So here at Nickel Plate, they are putting on one of those art fairs called Makers Fair. And one of them became all excited. They came up here and they're like, you know what? There's an artist that just signed up for Maker Fair. You should really meet her.
Oh.
And I went, is her name Bonnie Fillenworth? And they said yes. And I said, she works here. They were very excited to tell me. I appreciated it just in case it wasn't you. But I knew it was you. So next up, her backpack is filled with sweet treats, kind of like a mountainous cookie that she brought for us. She's going to keep us fed during the journey. It's Katie Harris! Yay! So Katie, tell the good people about yourself and what you've been up to since you kind of missed out on the last couple of episodes that you totally listened to.
Okay, I have listened to one.
Yes.
I've listened to one, so I'm on my way.
Because there was a dare and a quiz.
And I aced it.
You did. You're actually the only one.
I was.
Because I left a little special little spoiler in the last episode last month.
did.
And people were like, oh yeah, I totally listened to it. I'm like, really? What happened at the end? And then nothing. And I'm like, you did not listen. Because if you would have listened, Katie, what would the good people have heard?
They would have heard you obnoxiously playing Dora the Explorer theme song.
Yes, I did.
Nice.
You did.
I played the Dora the
Like,
Explorer
no.
theme song. Yep. It's a thing you can't unhear.
No.
That's how I knew.
It's
Exactly.
here. And now you're talking about our little backpacks, which, yes, I brought cookies made by a woman apparently from the mountains.
Yes. Mountain Woman.
Yes.
I like
so
it.
they're all here. And I've just been baking because we're back to doing farmers markets.
Yep.
I don't do art fairs like Bonnie.
But you're at the market.
Farmers
Those are worse.
There's a tent.
Wow.
Those people
I don't
gotta get up at like 2 in the morning
And make food and
to
haul
get
food.
there
Yeah.
and set up by like 5. Like,
Yeah.
it's gross.
I don't think it's quite that rigorous at the Carmel Farmers Market. I think
Gotcha.
they start out at like 7. I don't know. I don't go to it. I just do all the baking the day before.
Yeah.
You have to do all the hard labor to it,
Yeah.
not the
So
standing in
we
the
have
sun.
stuff to sell there.
There you
but,
go. Yes. It's less
very
people-y that way.
people.
Yes. But
Don't
very-
like people-y.
I
People-y is
know.
not my favorite.
Have you guys like been trying to go out since I'm all fully vaccinated now and I'm
Right.
feeling
Yes.
a little
Same.
more comfortable?
Right?
But when I try to go out, I'm like, oh no.
I still don't want to people.
No.
I still don't want to people.
Used a public restroom for the
What?
first time in like 2 years.
How was that?
It was uneventful. I was all alone.
Oh, well, I mean, would you prefer it any other
No one else was in the restroom at all.
Oh, okay. I don't know your normal breathing habits. I need 7 people in the restroom with me at all times.
I feel like I've had too many events in public restrooms. That sounds really weird, but
I mean, I've known some of the
Seriously,
stories.
Like, I had a woman once when, like, my eye was bothering me, it was all red. She told me I just needed to put some of my urine in it because urine is sterile and it'll clear it up.
Walk
I was
away
at
from
the
that lady.
Circle Center Mall.
Yeah, okay, now we're there again. Got it.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a
People.
long time ago, but people talk to me a lot. Maybe that's why
You-
I'm like, I don't.
You have a face of please tell me in
Really?
detail how you pee in your eye.
Another favorite of mine, which I know I'm way off topic.
No,
was
go ahead.
when
It's
I
the
went
show.
to-
Have you seen the show?
I went to the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
I used to have to go there all the time for work. And this woman's like, she's by all this luau type stuff.
Yeah,
and it's summer. because they do, you know, like themes at the
yeah.
Dollar Tree.
Bunch of ghosts.
Right, and she's like, why do you think they have all this stuff? Do you think it's because Jimmy Buffett's playing at the, whatever that's called now, Deer Creek, whatever?
Yeah, clap.
Roll off.
Oh, you got
Maybe,
it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yay. Yeah, no, they only carry the luau stuff when Buffett comes to town.
The last time I
Yeah.
went to Walmart, an old man called me sweetie.
Oh,
He
that's
was
nice.
talking to me. He asked if I bought all the store. I was like, there's a little love for you.
Oh, and then you punched him in the nuts and ran away. It was so cute.
I think people have forgotten how to use the public restroom.
True.
Because
Did they ever know in the first place, though? We do have that
No.
legit question.
I was at
No.
Menards, of all places. And so I went, I always have to pee no matter where I go.
Right.
And so I went to, like, you know, they have like the one hole unisex and then they have the
Yes.
two regular ones. So I go to the one hole, of course. I'm not an animal. And it's unlocked. I open the door. Totally a half naked man in there.
Oh my god!
Oh, no.
So I'm like, okay.
Door locks are a thing, dude.
Yeah. So I
It's all
go into the
planned.
ladies' room. I'm
Half-naked
done.
man.
I'm washing my hands. Some dude walks in. I'm panicking because I'm thinking I screwed up.
Right.
No, I am correct. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't look.
Oh, but
I'm like, have we all just been in quarantine too long? Like,
You
nobody
need to
even knows
look.
how to
Yeah.
poop in public anymore.
Oh, goodness.
oh my god.
Keep it at home, people.
I know, right? Poop and pee at home if you can. My god. Well, if this next backpack feels familiar, going again with my glorious backpack analogy for introductions, this backpack has books in it. It has birds in it. It must be the gal who told us about Black Birders Week, which ironically is this week.
No.
So Amy Dalton is back on the show. Yay! Amy, tell the good people about yourself again and what you've been up to.
Okay, I'm a librarian in Greenwood, Indiana, at White River Library, and I have also been outdoors in the tent
Oh!
doing a lot of programming. I did a dog adoption and 7 dogs found homes.
Oh,
it was so exciting.
It was me.
That was Bonnie.
It was me. I got all of them.
She got all
Oh,
of them.
gosh.
Yeah.
Did you
No.
overcommit? Overcommit.
It was so great. They literally
Oh.
had to call a bunch of their foster people after the first hour because they ran out of dogs.
Oh,
and
that's
they
a
needed more.
Nice.
process to have. I love
Yes,
that.
we had a lot of people who had filled out. They had pre-filled out and were already like approved to adopt. So they were just coming to like see
Which
and
dog.
choose. And
Yes.
So, oh, it was so great. And then I also did a thing that we do every year called Pick Apart. It's part of our
Ooh.
STEM programming.
Yes.
Where I just have people donate all of their broken junk and I throw it all out in the front yard and with a bunch of tools, and kids can come and take it apart. But I'm not gonna lie, it's mostly adults.
Yes. I
Like the
don't think
kids
we're
are
enjoying that.
done and ready to go, and the adults are still like, well, if I can just get this hard drive out.
Right.
And so that's always a blast.
Ooh.
So I have been putting in my time outdoors, getting sunburnt in the tent.
Look
as well.
at that. That is fantastic. Oh, I love it. Well, as for me, I am Dr. Leah Leach, and I'm trying to turn a page of my script. There it is. I'm the executive director of Gals Guide. When did that start happening? This might be a perfect time for me to point out that our logo is a compass. It's a compass. So, do you ladies know why we chose the compass as our logo? This is a leading question.
Because
we're a guide.
Oh, look at you use it. You get a good noodle star for that one. But yes, the idea behind it is that a compass doesn't tell you which direction to go. It tells you where you are and allows you to guide yourself to your adventure. So yes, gold noodle stars for Bonnie. So let's go on an adventure, Bonnie. Bonnie wants to go first because she is Katie.
Because we all saw what happened last time when Bonnie didn't go
When
first.
Bonnie doesn't go first.
Why am I grabbing the book?
Laugh attacks
I'm not
happen.
gonna read the book.
and I post them because I'm a monster. So Bonnie's gonna tell us all about her explorer gal. I'm so excited.
Da.
Who do you have for us, darling?
I have a lady who is on my shirt.
She is
All
on
of our
your shirt.
listeners can totally see.
They can totally, through the beauty of podcasting. I will have to take a glorious photo and put it in show notes, apparently. But you have a Lego shirt on for the listeners who want to feel like they're here.
Yes.
You have a Lego shirt with a whole bunch of ladies on it. Who is on your shirt?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell. I found it because I did a image search for Annie Jump Cannon.
Oh, I love
Is
Annie
how I
Jump
found
Cannon.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's who's supposed to be in the middle.
Right?
Because she's holding up a star classification shirt.
Yes.
But it could also be Wilhelmina Fleming. Because they
It could
both
be.
worked on it, but she was the final one.
And
It's
they both
probably
had
her.
buns. So hair buns is a thing.
Yes.
But then you also
And
have
then
the
there's another lady.
glass, looking at the glass tables.
Yeah, so the one lady, she's looking at their photograph on the glass plates,
Right?
which really could be any of them.
Correct.
And then the other one is definitely my lady, because she's
See?
holding up hydrogen and helium.
Ah,
I thought it was very appropriate
dun.
to wear
And
my shirt
your
today.
lady is
My lady... I'm going to apologize, because I keep in my head her name is Cynthia, but it's not Cynthia.
Correct.
It's Cecilia
Yes.
Helena
Yes.
Payne. I'm going to try.
Do it.
Gaposchkin.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
It sounds like a thing.
That sounds like
Yep.
her name. I totally
Sounds like a
yes,
thing.
absolutely. But Cecilia, you're
Cecilia
breaking my heart.
Payne.
Yes.
She was born in 1900. Oh, goodness.
Gotcha. You
Ugh.
went way back there with the phlegm.
Mm.
In the 1900s.
She was born in 1900 in Britain.
Cool.
Her father was a lawyer and a magician.
A magician.
A musician.
Ah.
Very different thing there. Her mother was an artist.
Ooh.
She
I see the
had-
connection already.
Yeah, she had one younger brother named Humphrey, which is amazing.
Nobody names their kids Humphrey
No.
anymore. I don't even hear dogs named Humphrey anymore.
I wish I had named my dog Humphrey.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
It would be appropriate, honestly.
But
Uh,
it would be spelled Hump.
Humphrey. He would become an archaeologist,
Cool.
and one younger sister, Lenora, who would become an architect.
Yeah.
But when she was 4, the night after Christmas, so December 26th, her father was found dead in a canal. He had been walking the family dog, and he had had, like, maybe some heart issues. Like, they don't really know what happened.
But it probably wasn't foul play. It was.
They don't
he just
really
kind
know.
of fell down dead. Oh no!
Like, some lady just, like, saw and was like, I think there's a body down there.
Ugh.
It's like,
That's terrifying.
So, moving on from that.
Right. So time of her life. Yes.
Yes. She had a love of plants and science when she was young. She went to a private school, which was like a Catholic school. But she'd already been questioning religion. Once asking why Jesus wasn't a woman.
Yes. These
Yes.
are all good questions.
I feel like this would have been me if I was forced to go to like Bible school or
Just little tiny
anything.
body.
Yes. She was told that Jesus could not have done the things that he did if he was a woman. And it's like,
Sure.
okay.
Prove it.
Yep. So at that school, which was called St. Mary's, she always got first prize in essays, but failed at reading aloud, like me. This lady is me. Her eyes were
Right.
always too quick for her tongue. While she was at the school, she was in the youngest grade level, but she scored second in the entire school at the year-end exams.
Oh.
So the principal decided to shame the other students for allowing her to outperform them, which caused them to bully her.
Oh, good. So they basically just put a massive target on her forehead and said, "Get her."
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
baby, she just liked to read.
Oh no. At the Catholic school, science and higher math was not taught. But she was basically badgering the teachers to teach her more things.
Oh,
Like she was a weird kind of problem kid.
nice.
But she was like forcing them. They're like, she's like, I obviously need you to teach me German. Like,
Ovs.
but she would check out. She would take home like translation dictionaries to transcribe books that were not in the language so she could learn the book.
Nice.
But she
wouldn't
caused
even
such
let a language like stop her and hold her back.
no.
Was she trying to teach herself languages by doing that?
I think she was just trying to be able to read the material, so she's
Okay.
transcribing it. But she did, I think, learn a few languages by doing that.
Nice.
But she caused such a problem doing this that, like, within a year of graduating, they expelled her
Oh my god.
just because she was
For
just
learning too much?
yeah, pretty much.
You are too smart.
Yes, she was just causing too much of a ruckus at the Catholic school.
Wow.
But she ended up attending St. Paul's School for Girls.
So she went from St. Mary's to St. Paul's?
Yes.
Got it?
But the head nun from a previous school had written a letter of recommendation
Oh, yeah.
saying she was a girl of unusual promise. So it's like, isn't that all bad? They were just
I
like,
feel like that's cloaked in an
they're
insult.
like, she's very smart, but she can't be here.
All right.
But there at St. Paul's, the study of science was encouraged.
Sweet.
But she only had like a year to prepare because her goal was to get into Cambridge.
Oh, yes.
So she had to cram. Her music teacher at St. Paul's, side note, was Gustavo Holst, which is the composer of that the Planet classical music thing.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So it's a funny little tie in there.
Oh, interesting. One that's probably played at many a planetarium.
Na-na.
Sorry, I still say it like South Park.
She ended up being she ended up being 5'10" tall.
She's a tall lady.
Yeah, so it's taller than most men for that time.
Oh, crap. Now that means she's going to be in more trouble now.
Yeah. It's funny seeing the little pictures of her
Keep
with
drawing her
dudes.
short.
Yep. She ended up winning a scholarship to attend Newham,
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
It's the female version of Cambridge, similar to Radcliffe and Harvard.
Okay.
Before
Before the ladies were admitted, they
Yes.
built a whole school instead of just letting the men.
Yeah,
Seems
and they had their own little little dorm house thing.
Right.
Men were not allowed unless chaperoned,
Of course.
and they could not be alone with men in a room or a canoe.
Specific?
Specifically, a canoe.
What about a kayak?
I guess that might be.
Rowboat? Right.
Houseboats are fine.
What about those swans that you like
really
pedal?
stretch out in a house.
Right? There's a bed in a
I was
houseboat.
gonna say a canoe kind of has a built-in no messing around.
Right? It does, doesn't it? It feels like that would be safer.
But they were near the river, so I don't know if I don't know how much
Sure.
damage you can do in a canoe.
I don't know. Somebody
Like, I
tried
don't
it,
know.
obviously. I mean, there's no
Might say
rule
some-
until somebody does it.
Some dirty words. I don't know.
if you could keep your ankles covered in a canoe, though.
There it is. There it is.
Mm.
That would be.
Those damn ankles.
Yeah.
You were canoeing to a secluded
Oh, yeah.
location.
Some Little Mermaid moments in there.
It was my understanding that the canoeing was in these olden times when you got engaged, right?
Oh,
like you canoed
possibly,
out and they're
right.
like, I asked
And then
your
the
father,
proposal,
and I
right.
asked your brother, and I
Yeah.
asked, every man in your family first.
Of
And
course.
Now let's
Yeah.
be betrothed.
And then a crab and its friend fish come out and sing a little song around you. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I see where my childhood is going.
And then you get legs.
Yes, but you lose your voice though. Oh. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the entire plot of Little Mermaid.
Yes. Pretty much. I do love how it's like, when you're little, you're like, oh, I'm Ariel. Like, I just want to go be on land. But then when you watch an adult, you're like, you are 16, young lady. You don't know nothing.
Yep.
Yep. Or is she even? Isn't she just like 14?
I
or
don't-
something?
she
She's
was-
really young.
She didn't know what a fork was.
Oh. Yep.
And yet her dad had a trident.
I know. That's why I'm like, you know what it is.
Does that mean her dad used to brush her hair with his trident?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Did
Did it shoot like lightning or
Did she call
something?
it a dinglehopper? Is it the royal dinglehopper?
Why does
Ooh.
she call the trident a dinglehopper? Ew,
But Cecilia, yes.
Right, it was
Yes.
Cecilia.
Cecilia had a good friend in school named Betty Leaf, and at one point she wrote that Cecilia's interest in material tidiness is chiefly theoretical, and she has a feeling of slight surprise when she loses an important letter which she has been carefully keeping on the floor.
Oh, very nice.
Yet another reason why.
Tension there.
She knows where everything is.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
on
very
the floor.
much a habit that I have. But on December 2nd of 1919, she snuck out of the curfew walls to attend a lecture by Arthur Eddington about his trip to Africa to view the eclipse that confirmed Einstein's theory of relativity.
Yes.
And she did not sleep for days afterwards.
Ooh.
She was like,
Her mind
she
was
could
awakened.
like write out his lecture like word for word. She was just so engrossed. For her lab, for her physics class, she would have to ride a bike down the bridge into town. Ladies were required to wear hats.
Oh. Oh.
That was like she
The
would
rules.
ride for a little bit and then she would have to put on a hat.
Okay.
Like
I don't think I
like
would
the
make
bridge
it.
toll, you
I
had
just-
to pay
I wouldn't.
to wear
I'd
a
just be
hat.
like a fucking hat. Tell me the hat look good.
But yeah, in those labs were a whole bunch of future Nobel laureates. And I didn't look them up because this ain't about them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Arthur Wood,
Okay.
Francis William,
Okay.
Niels Bohr, which is
Okay.
the only one, like, I recognize that name, I can tell you.
Right.
William Prout, George Frederick Charles.
Yep.
Oh, no, this was another thing.
Yes.
That's a different thing. I
Oh,
forgot
it's a
to put
different
a
thing.
space.
I'm like, none of these sound familiar.
But no, those are some Nobel laureates.
Sweet. Congrats.
Yep.
Good on ya.
Yep.
Very proud.
Yep. But George Frederick Charles Searle
Yeah.
claimed that the female students' new fancy steel corsets would mess with the equipment, and on multiple occasions shouted for the ladies to go remove your corsets.
Uh-huh.
He wasn't like, get out of my class. He was like, you need to go change because you're messing up my equipment.
Because my science.
Yes.
Those magnets.
Yes.
Sweet.
You don't want ladies stuck on your science equipment.
No.
Not again.
For lectures, women were required to sit in the front row
Okay.
so they could be like watched. It was also like kind of there was like a whole
supervised.
bunch of like microaggressions
Yeah.
with all this stuff. They're required to sit in the front row while all the men like walk past them, kind of like a Ruth Bader Ginsburg. All the you're taking up a man's seat,
Oh.
kind of a
To be
thing.
reminded.
Yeah.
I see.
So they had to sit in the front row. All the other rows would use the back of the chair or something to set their notebook on to write.
Oh. Okay.
So the ladies had to like try and awkwardly take notes while making sure their legs are crossed.
But of course, and their ankles don't show.
Mm. But they would do all kinds of stuff. Like when they would go to get their lab supplies, they would conveniently leave out a piece and then make them have to go back to go get it. And then they would pretend like they're too busy to help them. Like just full of little microaggressions about the ladies. So while she was in school, if you were a woman and you wanted to get a science one, you were expected to do botany. Like
Okay.
that was like really it. That was the ladies' science. You do
Oh.
botany,
All right.
botany, zoology, and chemistry. Like you picked 3 subjects and that was your degree, and that was it. So she started off with botany. She liked botany.
Sure. Yeah.
But then she did chemistry, and then she did physics instead of zoology.
There you go.
And it was like,
Mhm.
but while she was there, she was not able to get an actual degree for the same work that the men do.
She was at a woman's. Okay.
Yeah, they didn't get degrees. They got
Certificates of
I'm gonna
completion.
pretty much. They were.
Participation medal.
I'm gonna mess this word up, and it's gonna be hilarious.
Blue ribbon prize.
It's to titular degrees.
Oh, it even has the word tit in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying really hard not to be like titular degrees.
Son of a...
Yeah. But so basically they're awarded the title, but not the degree. Which is like, okay. And the men were very upset by this.
Oh my God.
They were so upset. Like they had a protest where they like cross-dressed and had little signs and they were like throwing a fit. Like, look at us.
You know what rhymes with tit? Fit.
But she had met a man named Harlow Shapley from the Harvard Observatory a few years prior and wrote to him before graduating, being like, hey, can I come work at Harvard?
It totally sucks over here,
Like,
y'all.
yeah. Basically being like, I would love to come work at Harvard, but I'm poor. Like, the only way I could do it is if I get a fellowship. Can you help me arrange this? So he got a $500 stipend for her, and she scrapped up together a few other, like, scholarships and, like, academic prizes, and she was able to go. So in the fall of 1923, with a photo of Betty Leaf in her pocket, she left for America.
Look at that.
You know. When she got there, Edward Charles Pickering had already died in 1919.
Okay. So he was dead by the time.
Yeah, he was dead by the time she got there. He's the guy that kind of started the Harvard Observatory.
With Andy Jump Cannon.
Yes, with all the ladies, his Pickering's harem, the Harvard computer ladies.
Apparently he didn't call it that, but he also didn't stop it from being called that, so thanks.
But he had died in 1919. He was also the same guy that was like, my Scottish maid could do better. And that Scottish maid was Wilhelmina Fleming.
Yes, it was.
And she had died in 1911.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And Henrietta Swan Leavitt had died in 1921.
Okay.
So the only one really of like the Fab Four, as I like to call them, left was Annie Jump Cannon.
Okay.
And Shapley, like when Leavitt was writing to him, he was like, yeah, sure, you can have Annie's job when she retires. Kind of like
retire.
I don't know, it was like clearly that's a woman's job. You can have that job.
Oh, I see.
Like no one else is like, yeah.
Right. Never mind the fact that Annie was very good at her job and was not going to leave that for a long time.
But it was really cool that Cecilia was given Henrietta Swan Leavitt's desk to work from. So it was a very Alice Paul working from Susan B. Anthony's desk moment.
Yeah.
Like they talked about
inspiration and
yeah, they talked about like late at night you could see the light on in the office and they were like, it's the ghost of Leavitt. And it was Cecilia Payne working at her desk.
Right, exactly. Maybe it was both.
But it was very sweet. But for her first paper, she wanted to sign it C.H. Payne.
Yeah.
And Shapley asked her if she was ashamed of being a woman and convinced her to sign it Cecilia H. Payne.
Oh,
so it's like, okay, dude, okay.
See.
But when she was doing her doctorate, they had a written exam and an oral exam. And afterwards, Margaret Harwood, an astronomer, overheard Cecilia crying in her office because she was worried she hadn't passed the oral portion of her exam for her PhD. Since it had been hours, so she assumed she failed. So Margaret went to Shapley and was like, what's up? And Shapley was like, it hadn't occurred to tell me. It was so obvious that she passed. So he's just being dumb. And I was like, I want to go and give her a hug.
I know, right? Or get her a puppy.
Yeah. But she became the first woman to get a PhD in astronomy from Radcliffe.
Sweet.
Her thesis was about the amount of hydrogen and helium in the stars.
Hence the hydrogen on your shirt.
Yes. So with this hydrogen and helium, and she did this when she was 25.
My God.
Yes.
I wasn't doing jack or shit at 25.
Yes. So at the time, like the common thought was that all the like elements that make up the Earth that all the other planets and stars and everything were made up of roughly the same materials and like roughly the same amounts. So for hers, I forget the numbers, but it was something like it's made up of like 1,000 more hydrogen and like 1,000,000 more helium, and maybe the other way around.
Gotcha.
It was something like that. So people were like, no. But then like later,
like,
people were reading it and they were like, this is amazing.
Sweet.
But she kept on working there as research and as Shapley's assistant, eventually teaching, but kind of like under the radar teaching. Like she wasn't listed as a professor, and she wasn't like named in the catalog for a long
She getting
time.
paid though?
She
hope
got
she was getting paid
very
for it.
little.
Right. Hopefully.
But she eventually became the first woman to become a full professor at Harvard.
Sweet. And at Harvard too, not just Radcliffe. So Harvard.
Yes. And in 1933, she received a letter that Betty had drowned.
Oh my gosh.
There was another one, and I couldn't remember. I think it was another friend of hers also drowned. There were 3 drownings in her life.
Whoa.
Which is crazy.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So, shortly after getting the letter that Betty had drowned, she went to an astronomy conference in, it was like Russia or Germany.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, where she had met Sergei, gotta scroll back up to figure out how to pronounce his name,
Gotcha.
Gaposchkin. He had ridden his bike 4 days to get there. And he handed her like a letter that was like his whole life story.
Yeah.
He was like, he's born in Russia, and this is during, I think, the prelude to World War II, where Hitler's having the rise to power.
Okay.
So I guess they don't like Russians there.
Right.
But he was like in the Russian army. I don't know if they got defeated or whatever, but he had no kind of papers to prove like who he was. He was kind of like this weird refugee status.
Mm-hmm.
They were letting him go to school there in Germany, but he's like, dude, it's not safe. Y'all need to help me find a way to get out of here.
Right. Please
It's
save
not
me.
good.
Yeah.
So she wrote letters to Shapley and convinced him to let him work at Harvard.
Gotcha.
So 3 months later, he gets there and they get married.
I know. I'm like, the last name's the same.
Yeah.
So they're either related or about to be.
Yes.
With the marriage.
So they get married. They
Right.
end up having 3 kids.
Ah.
Edward, Catherine, and Peter.
Cool.
During World War II, and also just because they had like no money. Like they paid her very little,
Yeah.
and I guess he was like a mediocre astronomer. They paid him even less. Like she was the breadwinner working on a very small salary.
Right.
But especially during World War II, they could not find caregivers for these kiddos.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
came to work
Oh, cute.
all the time. And I was trying
Baby
to
work.
look through the book for there's some kind of footnote where one of the boys was causing so much of a ruckus. I think they had him like sit down and basically like sign a contract that's like, you will not bother people while they are working anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was something
Yeah.
like that.
Right. And then the kid got a lawyer and no, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
it was something like that.
Adorable.
But Sergei was like not the best dude.
No.
He was Mr. like bodybuilder dude, which is like funny.
All right.
But he was opinionated and rude.
Mhm.
He couldn't deal well with criticism, which is funny when you're giving everyone else criticism. But yeah, just pretty much a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
But no one would get rid of him there because they were afraid of losing Cecilia.
Oh, I see.
So they were putting up with him.
Don't want to
Keep
accept
the dead weight.
actual talent. Yeah.
But she worked there for like a long time. She was the first recipient of the Annie Jump-Cannon Award.
That's how I first knew of her
She's
name.
got a whole bunch of other awards. I forget what this other one is named after. Henry Russell, which is another scientist that when she first came out with her theory, he was like, No. So they butted heads like a little bit, but I think they ended up becoming at least like professional
Mutual
friends
colleagues.
or something.
Yeah.
But she ended up getting an award named after him at some point, which was pretty funny too. But she ended up dying in 1979 of lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
Well, like several times in this book that I read, they reference that she just has a pile of ashes on her desk as part of her like untidiness, that she's just so focused on working she doesn't notice that the pile is like 3 feet high on her desk. So if you want to read more,
yes, exactly,
this book that I devoured in like 2 or 3 days, and I swear I'm not the person who's like, oh yeah, I just stayed up real late and read this whole book.
Right?
No, it's a really well written book.
You've become that person now. Well, with the right book.
Oh.
See? This one's What the Stars Are Made Of.
It's What the Stars Are Made Of by Donovan Moore.
And you even left a review of
I
it
did.
on the Gals
It's my
Guide
Red
website.
Reavers review, because it's a very good book.
That wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool explorer Explorer gal, that's what we do. And the Gals Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.